Democracy is founded on civic participation and an energetic forum of ideas and opinions. That's why our rights to express ourselves are protected under law. Free speech, free religion, free press, and free assembly, which is not so well understood. Free assembly is the presence of people in a public place for a common expressive purpose. It's the right to be present, the body as voice. When, where, and how you choose to be present is your freedom. Assemblies grow movements, lift up those who will not be heard, break chains, topple dictators. Assemblies are the power of the powerless. The freedom of peaceful assembly is preserved as a basic human right in Article 20 of the Universal Declaration of Human Rights. The First Amendment of the U.S. Constitution executes the government's commitment to uphold and protect the right of the people peaceably to assemble. Over time, however, these legal protections have eroded or been ignored. Public assemblies are maligned, restricted, and met with violence every day. It's hard being a protester these days, even if you have the leadership skills, a motivated team, the organization, and the smarts. Most governments require a permit or even charge you for them. Officials may dictate to protesters where they can protest, when they can protest, or even what they can wear. Disregarding that when, where, and how an assembly takes place is the human right itself. The obstacles and threats to assembly really begin once you're out there. First of all, it's hard to find a place to protest anymore. Our public spaces are increasingly commercialized or privatized, or otherwise closed off from the people. The design of public spaces and security features like bollards and planters inhibit safe gatherings. When conflicting assemblies are poorly managed, protesters and counter-protesters will come into conflict and people may get hurt. The presence of weapons and firearms will create a threatening atmosphere that scares people away and makes the job of law enforcement difficult. For an assembly to reach a broader audience, the attention of news reporters is key, but journalists may be forced away from talking to protesters or recording events. Cell service and internet connections may be shut down altogether, disconnecting an assembly from the outside world. Police departments now possess military-grade equipment for which they may not be adequately trained. Combat vehicles and body armor, along with militaristic behaviors such as marching, bully and frighten civic participation and reject the peaceful intentions of the protesters. Non-lethal weapons like tear gas, rubber bullets, and sound weapons can cause bodily harm and permanent physical damage, but tend to be used before safer options are exhausted. Petty charges are handed out inconsistently, just to get people off the streets. Most charges will later be dropped or thrown out. When a handful of protesters gets out of hand and turns to vandalism or violence, the police may not discriminate between the agitators and the peaceful protesters. It's all exponentially worse when you factor in racism, sexism, and other forms of intolerance. In some parts of the world, the consequences of holding public assembly are graver. Kidnappings, disappearings, indefinite imprisonment, exile, murder. We cannot take free assembly for granted. That's why we formed the Article 20 Network, to defend the human right to freedom of peaceful assembly, to make public protest easier and safer through education, advocacy, and action, research and analysis, and legal services. The Article 20 Network is clearing the way to truly free assembly. Learn more at a20n.org.